Well, hello, good evening. It's another Monday night. Thanks so much for coming back to get your dose of real estate reality. My name is Jackie Baker. I'm a real estate agent here in Northern New Jersey, talking about all things real estate, housing market, all that fun stuff. So, Redfin is now saying that we are due for a housing market reset in 2026. So I'm going to dive into that one today because, as you know, I did a housing market video last week talking about how NAR was predicting a 14% boom in housing sales for 2026. And now Redfin's joining that bandwagon, saying we're having a big reset next year. So we're going to talk about that. I'm also going to be talking about a couple of other things. I'm going to touch on what are we talking about? We're going to talk about the delistings. Delistings have surged to an all-time high, like the highest it's been in, like the highest delisting surge in like 10 years. Also, I'm going to touch on the topic about data centers and the housing market. Now, I was originally going to do this topic for the whole stream, but when I was researching it a little bit more, I'm like, this is some heavy stuff. Didn't have that much time to gather all the information, but I'm going to touch on it. And the reason I'm bringing that up is one of you guys, Agent Dawkins, brought this up last week on my stream last week. I figured this is a good topic to also discuss this evening. So welcome. House rules. If you are new here, please put QQQ. If you have a question, put QQQ in front of your question to it's just to help us identify your question, and we can get it up on the screen much faster. Also, if you have recently bought a house, if you're under contract, you got your offer accepted, please put that in the comments. We want to celebrate it. We want to share the housing wins. Yes, the housing market has been challenging, but people are still buying houses, selling houses. It's happening. So let's celebrate those wins. Okay. The chat is on fire already. I love this. You guys are so amazing. So Jen, let's say hello to a couple of people here. The poll. Yes, I'm having some fun this evening. I'm getting away from the real estate stuff. I thought it'd be a good thing to break away from all of that. The stress of the housing market. So, best Christmas movie, weigh in. I want to know, is it Elf, It's a Wonderful Life, Die Hard, or A Christmas Vacation? Yes, Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Prove me wrong. I'm sorry. I had to put that out there. Okay, so don't forget to weigh in on the polls. So what's going on? Hello, Miss H. How are you? Yes, Mark. Let's get started. I love that. It's good to see you. Home Alone. Yes, Stacy. That's another good one. That's another good one. Yeah, I love Elf too. Elf is my fave. That's my vote. Hi, Christy from Arizona. Thanks for being here. This is great. Oh, you guys are awesome. Elf is the best, world's best coffee. Yep. Love that movie. All right. Hey, you made it. You clocked it live at the beginning. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you're here. All right, so let's dive into the articles. I've got a lot to cover tonight, so buckle up, people. We got a lot to talk about. Let's get into the first article. Now, this is from Fortune magazine. They're talking about Redfin, saying that we have this great housing reset coming in 2026. So they're saying that income growth will outpace home price growth in 2026. This is Redfin's forecast. Home buyers may experience a reprieve in 2026 as price normalization and an increase in home sales over the next year will take some pressure off the market, but don't expect home buying to be affordable in the short run for Gen Z and young families. The Great Housing Reset will start next year, with income growth outpacing home price growth for a prolonged period for the first time since the Great Recession era, according to a Redfin report released this week. The residential real estate brokerage sees mortgage rates in the low 6% range, down from the 2025 average of 6.6%. A median home sales price increase of just 1%, down from 2% this year, and monthly housing payments growth that will lag behind wage growth, which will remain steady at 4%. These trends toward increased affordability will likely bring back some house hunters to the market, but many Gen Zers and young families will opt for non-traditional living situations, according to the report. More adult children will be living with their parents as households continue to shift further away from nuclear family structure. Picture a garage that's converted to a second primary suite for adult children moving back in with their parents. Redfin agents in places like Los Angeles and Nashville say more homeowners are planning to tailor their homes to share with extended family. Gen Z and millennial homeownership rates plateaued last year with no improvement expected. Just over 1/4 of Gen Zers owned their home in 2024, with the rate for millennial owners was 54.9% the same year. Meanwhile, about 6% of Americans who struggled to afford housing as of mid-2025 moved back in with their parents, while another 6% moved in with roommates. Both trends are expected to increase in 2026, according to the report. Obstacles to home affordability. Despite factors that could increase affordability for prospective home buyers, C. Scott Schweffel, a real estate attorney in Shipman, Shaken and Schweffel, say that 3 times fast, told Fortune that income growth and home price growth are just a few keys to sustainable home ownership. An improved income to price ratio is welcome, but unless tax bills stabilize, many households may not experience a net relief. Okay, so bottom line is they're saying home prices, income's going to be catching up with the home prices. I'm not so sure if I agree with what they're saying. Hold on. Let me go back here. Let me stop sharing. Hold on, guys. Technical difficulties. So anyway, I don't know how much I agree with this, because the home prices, they can only really come down if there's more homes for sale. I go back to the basic economics. You need to have more inventory. You need more competition to bring those home prices down. Now, here's the other thing that they're not taking into account. We have rising insurance, rising property taxes. That is what's really hurting many people. But you talk to the people who bought homes in the past couple of years, now their mortgage payments are way higher because they had increases in their taxes and insurance. So I get Redfin's trying to bring some optimism to the market, just like National Association of Realtors did a couple weeks ago, saying that we're going to have a 14% boom. There's going to be 14% surge in home sales in 2026. And you saw the video I did last week about it. I don't agree with that either. I mean, Fannie Mae is saying more like maybe 7% increase in sales next year, but it could be more of the same. I'm being honest with you. I think we could be seeing more of the same, of a stagnation. Might see a little maybe improvement, maybe going into like the latter part of 26 once rates come down even more. But, rates are coming down and it's bringing more people back, and there's still not enough homes for sale. I just talked to somebody. Oh, was it this week? I forget who it was. I don't know if it wasn't a buyer client. It was somebody I was just talking to, and they said they locked in at just under 6%. They got 5.9%. So it's happening. You are going to start seeing these rates come down into the high 5s, but that's just going to be bringing more buyers back in. So in those markets like here in the Northeast, where I am in Jersey, or it's like parts of the Midwest where there's still low inventory, we're still going to be seeing prices going up. I hate to say. So, do it for yourself. There's not going to be anything until rates come down to 4.5% or less. But the problem is we're never going to see that again. Those rates are long gone. That was an anomaly that happened for those couple of years from 2020 to 22. I hate it. I hate to say that, but that's not coming back. Let's see. What area is a better place for commuting to New York City, East Stroudsburg, or Levittown, and affordability? Okay. I don't know exactly how long it would take from East Stroudsburg. That's pretty far. You're talking like a couple of hours. I'm not familiar with Levittown, unfortunately. What I would do is like get in touch with a real estate agent out there that can better answer that question for you. and especially with affordability. I'm not that familiar with that market, but I will tell you, parts of Pennsylvania, though, the prices, they're seeing the same thing we've been seeing here in Jersey because people are moving further west, out west, because it's more expensive. The closer you are to New York City, the more expensive it is, more challenging it is. Um, when is it the job? When is it the job of a realtor to tell a customer how much money to have in the bank, who to buy a home with, and they must have a joint bank account to buy a home? Please help me understand that. It was a realtor, not the financial company. You know what? It's really not our job. Like, we try to guide you and say, if you can save, 10% down for your down payment, you got to make sure you have your closing costs saved. This is what I advise people. I don't tell you specifically you need to have X amount of dollars in your bank. You really should be talking to a mortgage lender, but rule of thumb, the general rule, like what I tell people, these are the things you need to have ready to go before you start looking for a home. But when you want to get into the details and the numbers, that should be coming from the lender. So that's who I would be speaking with. Do you think house prices will go down in the next 6 months on the East Coast? On the East, it depends on where on the East Coast. Now, if you're looking, like say the Carolinas, like you're talking south, the Carolinas have already seen price reductions. Definitely there's more competition, and there's more inventory down there. So therefore the prices we are seeing a correction down there. Northeast, not so much. I don't think we're going to be seeing prices coming down. Especially here in Jersey, New York, I don't think it's going to be happening. Chris, will it be a buyer's market or seller's market? It depends on where you are in the country. Right now, it's a buyer's market in places like down south, Georgia, the Carolinas, Florida, the Sun Belt, Texas, Arizona, Nevada. Those have flipped pretty much to a buyer's market. Seller's market, you're looking Northeast, Midwest, parts of California, I believe, are still seller's markets as well. So it depends on where you are in the country. How accurate are the flood factor ratings on Zillow and Redfin? I'm so glad you're bringing this up. Because I was going to bring this up because last week I shared an article talking about Zillow removing that climate rating on their listings and how I was happy about that. Man, oh man, the comments that I got after the stream that people went back and watched, you thought I'd murdered somebody. People were coming for me because they were like, how could you say that? It's, I like that feature. You're wrong. You're not a good real estate agent that you would want that removed. Hear me out. They're not accurate. And I wanted to bring this up tonight again as a follow-up to that last week, because there's a real estate agent that I know here in Bergen County. She just put out a TikTok. She had a listing out in Passaic County in West Milford. Now, put yourself in the shoes of a seller. She had a listing. This listing, it was taking forever to sell. Why? Because Zillow had that home. It had the climate factor rating that the flood risk was like 8 or 9 out of 10. It was a high risk. Guess what? No, it wasn't. That information Zillow had was incorrect. It was not in a flood zone. It never took on any water. If you just called an insurance company to see if any claims were filed against the home, you check the FEMA maps, that tells you right there. So thank God they took that information off, because again, put yourself as a buyer. Understand, I work with buyers. This channel is geared towards helping home buyers, but be careful of relying on all of this information, because I hate to say this, I want to be mean. People kind of get lazy. They do. And I get it. You want one place to give you all the information that you need. Not on Zillow. Not on Zillow. That is not the place to be getting that. You want accurate information, you ask your real estate agent to pull up the FEMA maps. You call your insurance company, see if there's any claims filed on that home. There are so many other ways to get this information than relying on Zillow. So I had to bring this up again because when I saw this agent's video today and she was so relieved. I mean, the house that she had listed, it finally sold, but it was hurting her sellers that Zillow had this on their listing. And meanwhile, the house had never flooded, never had any water issues. And yet that was, it put it out there. So no, it is not accurate. And I'm actually, I was talking with my producer, Jen, about this after the stream last week. I said, I'm going to do a video about why we shouldn't be relying on Zillow. It's people rely on it way too much. Zillow should just be sticking to just putting the information, putting a listing out there, showing the pictures of the homes. It's just another way for people to see a home. It's another way for a seller to get their home exposed, to get it marketed. But everything else, stay out of it. Stop putting out all this other data. Your Zestimates, the climate stuff, stop it. Stop it. It's inaccurate. So anyway, so look for that. I'm doing a video and I think I'm going to title it Zillow Sucks and Here's Why. I'm serious because I'm so tired of it. I really am. Okay. Do you need me to pull up? Because who's bothering you? Because you tell the truth. That's why I love watching you. You don't sugarcoat it. You know me. You know me. You've been here a long time. So I'm telling you how it is. And it just, and I get it. You're entitled to your opinions. You don't have to agree with me. You don't have to like me. Scroll on. I don't care. But when I am passionate about something and I know something to be true, being in this industry for 10 years and the things that I've seen, listen, I know a thing or two. And Zillow, I'm sorry, they're a problem. They cause a lot of problems for a lot of people, and they're not accurate. There, I said it. Okay. People should focus on negotiating the price, not the interest rate. The price is what truly matters and gives you the real savings. Yes, you are absolutely right. So those markets where there are buyer's markets, you have a lot of leverage right now. So you can absolutely negotiate. Do you think the Northeast inventory will significantly increase in January compared to December? Yes. Significant. How significant? I mean, I can't answer that, but January, I would say mid to end January, this when the market starts to pick up. And by early February, things really pick up. So yeah, definitely. 60-year-old pensioner, no heirs. Should I buy a condo or continue renting? Look, that is up to you. That is completely up to you. You have to check how, what's affordable for you. Is it beneficial for you to buy a condo and have a mortgage payment? And this way you can write off that mortgage interest on your taxes. I mean, there is the benefit to that. So what I would do is to maybe speak with a financial advisor, also speak with a mortgage lender, see what you qualify for, and do the math, crunch the numbers, see what works. My nephew and his my nephew and his wife bought a beautiful colonial in Bryn Mawr, PA in 2017 for $750, worth $1.3 million today. Flipping insane. See what I mean about PA? PA is doing the same thing. Same thing. Okay. Northern California is still going above asking and removing contingencies. Any feedback there? I have not been following Northern California. I appreciate you sharing that, but that's pretty much what we're still seeing here in Jersey. There are people still removing contingencies, going over ask. It's challenging. I was on the phone today with some buyers that were looking to buy out in Western Jersey. And I told them, I said, you got to be prepared because it's still competitive. And the lower price points, people are chomping at the bit. They're going to do whatever they can. You're going to be competing against cash, but it's not impossible. To me, in my experience, it comes down to timing. It comes down to, the strategy, how you structure your offer. So, we got a win. House under contract closing late January. Congratulations. Thank you so much for sharing. Woohoo. Love that. So let me move on. So speaking of inventory, I want to talk about the delisting surge really quick, because a lot of these listings that are coming off the market right now might be coming back. Hold on. It might be coming back on the market in the spring. Let's see. So this is from Realtor.com. Delisting surge as frustrated sellers pull back, and 3 pandemic boom towns are getting hit the hardest. All right. This year has been challenging for home buyers struggling with affordability headwinds, but sellers haven't had it easy either, often pulling listings off the market in frustration after their price expectations were not met. Delistings in October jumped nearly 38% compared with a year earlier, again surpassing inventory growth, according to November 2025 monthly housing trends report from Realtor.com. Year to date, delistings were up roughly 45% from the same period in 2024. That's a lot. That's huge. Since June, 6% of the listings have been removed from the market by sellers each month, cementing 2025 as a year with the highest national delisting rate since Realtor.com began tracking this metric in 2022. The October data on delistings was included in November report because researchers always allow 1 month to determine whether a delisted home was actually sold or truly withdrawn from the market by the seller. The delisting trend is a perfect personification of the stagnant and frustrated-filled housing market. With buyers and sellers far apart, the seller's solution is to pull that trump card and delist rather than cut prices. In an ironic twist, Krimmel notes that this emergency exit for sellers actually keeps the market stuck in a rut by shrinking the inventory, putting upward pressure on prices, and in the process, sending both buyers and sellers back to square one. Oh, you stupid pop-ups. Okay, sellers pull back from the market. What makes 2025 unusual in terms of delistings is that in a typical year, fewer sellers call it quits during the summer because the market sees a lot of buyer activity. By fall and winter, demand typically softens, and the remaining sellers often choose to delist during the slow period and try again in the spring. But Krimmel says this year, the delisting season arrived well ahead of schedule, surging 48% year over year in June, when home buying was expected to ramp up. The following month, the delisting rate climbed even higher, jumping 57% compared with the same period in 2024. Researchers also compared the rate of delistings to the rate of new listings. In October, the national delisting to new listing ratio reached 0.27, roughly the same as in August. That means for every 100 newly listed homes, 27 previously listed homes were yanked from the market by unsuccessful sellers, up from 20 delistings a year ago. Put differently, one home was delisted for about every 3 to 4 new listings in October, reflecting growing frustration among sellers. So these are the 3 markets where they had the highest number of delistings. We had Miami, had the highest ratio of delisting to new listings at 45. That's down from 60 in August, but it's up from 34 in October 24. Denver took silver with 39 delistings per 100 new listings. And Houston followed with a ratio of 37 per 100, down from 40 in August, but up from 31 compared to the same period last year. 2 California metros, Los Angeles and neighboring Riverside, rounded out the top 5 with delisting ratios 33 and 32. So my thought is, now if people finally come to terms with what their price should be, where's my mouse? Here we go. If people come to terms, they need to sell the house, and they come to terms like, hey, you know what, the price is what it is. I'm not going to get what I would have gotten, 4 or 5 years ago, earlier in the pandemic, during the pandemic period. Maybe these homes are going to come back on the market in the spring, therefore adding more inventory. That's my take on that. I'm hoping for that. But listen, you sellers, I'm telling you, and I'm talking to sellers right now, we have to get realistic about your prices. And I'm even speaking to those here in New Jersey. I've been talking to a number of sellers who are contemplating selling their homes next year in the spring. And look, for those who've owned their homes for a long time, they're gonna profit. They're gonna make a lot of money. For those who bought in the last few years, not so much. Not so much. You're not going to be making a lot of money. So because you bought it at a higher price, now you not so much. You're not going to be able to probably get the price that you paid for. So it's time to get realistic. And if you're freaking out like I'm going to be losing money on this house, then I highly, highly recommend you speak with your financial advisor. See what that loss will be. There could be a tax benefit to that when you have a loss. So it's not the end of the world. But if you have to sell, you have to sell. So Nathaniel, my single home in New Jersey fell out of contract. I'm debating taking off the market and keeping it as a rental. What are some things you would consider when making this decision? Nathaniel, thanks so much for asking that question. You can keep it as a rental. I mean, you obviously know what it's like being a landlord. So here's the thing. If you're into, the ultimate goal is to sell, you might want to just consider pushing forward and sell that property. Just because you're going to lock it up for another year, you're going to have a new tenant come in, and then come another year from now, you're going to have to go back in and make changes, or make changes. You're going to have to make repairs, paint, all the things, putting more money back into the house to get it ready to sell. So I would, it always comes down, I always say it comes down to the numbers where, can you manage this? Can you manage handling that rental for another year? Or are you better off just cashing out now? Now, it fell out of contract. Did it fall out of contract because was there an inspection issue, or the buyer just walked away? If there was any inspection issues, God would go back, make any necessary repairs, and maybe try putting it back on the market. Hi, Mary Beth. If I get a house, every time my husband told me to ignore Zillow's climate claims, I have 10 by now. Keep informed. You're so welcome. As a follow-up, Zillow had our listing at almost 1,000 views and now showing low 700s. It does reduce the views and is not accurate unless it's based on certain time frame, 30 days of views. You see? Also, I don't know if you guys are familiar. Have you guys heard of this woman, Glenda Baker? No relation to me. She's an agent with Coldwell Banker down in Georgia. She's got big beef with Zillow. And she's trying to encourage real estate agents who have, their sellers who had issues with their listings with Zillow, and I think she's trying to compile all sorts of information to go after them. I mean, what's another lawsuit? They got 6 against them right now anyway, so why not bring on another one? Someday Defect, what's going on? Was at an everything for sale here in the foothills of Colorado. Asked the owner, where you go in Indiana for multi-generation home living. First person I talked to actually doing this. Wow, how funny. And that's what the article is talking about. I actually know of a family that is buying, it's almost like a compound. They bought this big piece of property with 2 homes on it. And it's like upstate New York. They're purchasing this. They're going to live in the main house with her in-laws, her husband's parents. And in the other home, the kids are going to rent it. They're going to live there. So I think her 2 daughters, they're going to live in the house. This is what people are doing. So very cool. Greenville, South Carolina, on the market for 2 months, 70,000 in price adjustments, few showings, and buyers are just not there. Tire kickers galore. House is gorgeous. Price on the market. Our agent is even shocked. Yeah, there's got to be something else going on there. Find out. Your agent, I'm sure, is getting feedback. Find out what the feedback is. I mean, what is it? Because people will say if it's priced too high, they're going to tell you. But if you already reduced it by 70,000, It could also be the time Doris, you're on the market for 2 months. Buyers are kind of out of it right now. Maybe it's not the right time. You might have to delist and go back on in the spring. I don't know. It's a possibility. What else we got? A brand new, beautiful architect designed house with top quality modern materials was on the market in our small North Carolina HOA was delisted after 10 months. Developer agent just rented it. So listen, guys, the Carolinas got a lot of inventory. That's part of the problem. There's a lot of homes to choose from. So you got to make sure you're in line with whatever the market is doing as far as pricing. Was a few days from closing, required to do some additional inspections, found out the septic was shot. Now the deal is done, but the seller isn't playing nice with the earnest deposit. Yeah, that's not good. That's not good. They should give it back. They should give it back. I've had situations like that where the seller is just sitting on a deposit. Like, come on. Just be nice. Be a good human, right? Hello, Ray Zimmerman. Average profit home sale 2015 was 20,000. Average profit 24 was 122. Buyers are no longer allowing indenture to seller for 100K for 30 years. Can sellers give up the excessive profit motive? They're going to have to come face facts with that. You're right. In 2020 through up until last year, even this year, I mean, people are still profiting. They are making a lot of money. But those markets that are shifting, yeah, you gotta get real. You gotta get real with it. I mentioned North Carolina prices are dropping, but not in Charlotte. A 10 to 15,000 change means nothing here. Charlotte gains about 157 new residents a day, so prices stay high. Yep. And as we get into the winter months, you're going to get more of the Northeast people, Jersey, New York included. I'm wanting to move from Florida to Tennessee. I am paying cash for a home. Right now, the prices are in my range, but should I wait a few months to see if they come down more? So what I would do, this is what I tell people, you can't time it. You cannot time the market. If the time is right for you right now, then go ahead and go for it now. I don't know if the prices are going to come down. Look, Florida is seeing a big exodus. I don't know. Are they all moving to Tennessee? I don't know. So some markets in Tennessee are they're coming down in price. I mean, you could wait, but honestly, it comes down to your timing and what works best for you. Okay, because I'd hate to see you wait a few months and then prices actually come back up because there's a surge in buyer demand. Is building a custom house in Longview, Washington, a good idea to start in 2026? I'm not familiar with that market in Longview, Washington. What I would recommend is communicate with an experienced real estate agent out there to see what that's all about. But if you want to build a custom home, that's your thing. I would absolutely do that. Make sure you get with a good reputable builder. Are 2 bedrooms still hard to sell, or does it not matter anymore? No, they're not hard to sell. Nope. They're actually good for people who are downsizing. People want they want less bedrooms. Prices are dropping in Texas. Too many homes listed here, and they're still priced too high. Yeah, Texas has been seeing this for a while. I noticed the last great price cuts were in November, and they decreased or almost stopped in December, and people are buying the dip, taking advantage of the great deals and incentives. Thank you for that. Could you tell us what you know about the Detroit housing market? While I'm here, let me look. Let me just pull this up really quick, guys. Last I looked, okay, this is interesting. So home prices were up because the reason being is because the home prices are generally lower. So the Detroit's median sale price is 78% lower than the national average. So that's why you're seeing prices. So in October 25, just going on 2 months now, median sale price is $95,000, and that was an increase of 6.7%. So yeah. So Detroit's, it's pretty hot because it's so cheap. People are going to be flocking there. How do lenders classify 1,000 square foot detached ADU? I honestly can't answer that. A lender can answer that. I'm just an agent. What do I think about the housing market in Los Angeles? There are houses out there 100,000 over asking price. They're probably still overpriced. I would say that's definitely overpriced, and people got to get real with their prices. You're not going to sell your homes. How is the market in New Jersey? I just bought a house in New Jersey a year ago. Should I be nervous if the market crashes? Now, Amy, listen, you bought your house. You're in it for the long term. New Jersey, it's going from the reports that I've read about what's going on in New Jersey, we're not going to be crashing. What's going to happen is that the values are going to normalize. Okay, so during COVID, we saw values increase by 15, 20, 25%. It was ridiculous. The values are normalizing to say like your value will go up about 4 or 5% per year. That's normal. So with the analyst that I watch a lot that covers the New Jersey housing market, I really trust him. This guy like sleeps, eats, breathes New Jersey housing market. He said we are coming into normalization as far as values. So I don't think you're going to be crashing. Just, your value is not going to be skyrocketing like it did over the last few years. But then again, it depends. If you're in a town that's very desirable, it could be going up even higher. But average overall in New Jersey, you're looking about 4 or 5% increase in values. What about the reset in Long Island? Will prices continue to shift downward, or is the competition going to keep things rather stable? I think Long Island, you're going to see the same thing as what we're seeing here in New Jersey. We're still seeing a lot of people from the city escaping, moving out. So they're going to Long Island, they're going to upstate New York, Connecticut, and Jersey. So I don't think you're going to see prices come down by a lot out there. There's still going to be demand. So Woodland, Texas, I can look it up really quick for you. Hold on. Housing. So the Woodlands, you're looking at, according to Redfin, it looks like it's flat right now. Hold on. Median sale price for 1 year. Yeah, it's flat. Median price is $565. And year-over-year growth, it's flat. So didn't go up or down. So that's what's going on there. So let me move on. Where are we on time? Okay. I want to touch on the data center stuff. And the reason being, I said an agent last week, and Agent Dawkins was on the live last week, and she had asked that question. So sure enough, I'm doing my research for this stream, and I came across an article about a county in Virginia that is taking advantage of these data centers that are being built. Now, this is their plan. This is what they want to do. They want to do is a blueprint for how data centers can fund housing for first-time homebuyers. Okay. In Rico County, Virginia, leaders have taken a radically different approach. They are turning the AI era infrastructure into a pipeline for affordable homes by taking new tax dollars from data centers and using it to buy down the price of homes for first-time buyers. At a groundbreaking for one of those projects, Senator Mark Warner didn't mince words. Your county is doing as innovative a project as anything I've seen, not only in Virginia, but in the country. People in the housing industry across the nation are looking at you. Henrico County is channeling new tax revenue from more than $1 billion in local data center investments from companies like Meta and Google into Affordable Housing Trust Fund. Instead of waiting on slow, rigid federal programs, the fund directly cuts the price of new homes so local workers earning 60% to 120% of area median income can actually buy houses near their jobs. It's a tangible benefit of the AI boom, not for the tech scions, but for the everyman at a time when anxiety about job loss from the new technology is rampant. Henrico County's experiment raises a crucial question for every community weighing data centers. If long-term job security can't be guaranteed an AI future, can you at least use the boom to locking in lasting wealth for people who live there? So I found this very interesting, but again, my skeptical brain, I go there. Turning server farms into starter homes. Henrico County's Affordable Housing Trust Fund is the first program of its kind, and county staff have been figuring it out as they go. We pretty much started building the ship and sailing it down the river at the same time. Yeah, that's not so smart. Anyway, instead of handing out one-off grants, the county invites developers to apply with their project costs and target sales prices. If a project is approved, the trust fund kicks in tens of thousands of dollars per home, and buyers close at a much lower price. That money stacks up with other local incentives, waiving building permits, credits for water and sewer hookups, and faster planning reviews that further cut costs for both developers and buyers. Okay. Say, for example, the market price is $460,000. We provide $80,000 in funding. That would reduce the price to $380,000. Then we also provide permit fee waivers and water and sewer connection fee credits, which further reduce the amount that the buyer has to finance to purchase. None of this would be possible if Henrico County needed the data center money to patch its day-to-day budget. Years of cautious budgeting meant new revenue could be treated as a windfall and aimed squarely at housing. We're pretty conservative in terms of how we spend our money, so our leadership decided that housing is a priority. They wanted to do something transformational. Why workers needed this in the first place? That something started with a hard look at the numbers. On paper, Henrico County looked strong. Unemployment sat below the national average. Big employers kept hiring, and a surge of data centers padded the tax base, according to the most recent community profile. But underneath that solid performance, the basic math of buying a home wasn't penciling out for a huge slice of the workforce. As prices and mortgage rates climbed, the county's own analysis showed the cost of getting into the ownership market racing far ahead of what many essential local jobs paid. Since 2020, the median sales price have increased roughly 32%. Over that same stretch, the income needed to buy a home jumped from $70,000 to $120,000, a 70% increase. Meanwhile, a police officer earned just under $60,000, a teacher about $54,000, and a retail salesperson $28,000. The income needed to buy a home increased pretty significantly. Wages obviously weren't keeping pace with the cost of housing. So I appreciate what they're doing. I do. I think this is great. All right, let's take the tax money from the data center. Let's take advantage of that money. We'll use that to help build homes, provide starter homes. What I don't like is how they're cutting. Okay, they're providing permit-free waivers and water and sewer connection-free credits. Yeah, it's, where is it? Yeah, there was something else they talked about where they're going to kick in. They're basically cutting corners, what they're doing. Okay. I understand they want to cut costs and all that stuff, but To me, this sounds, it's too good to be true, but I applaud them for trying to make this, to take advantage of that and make some affordable housing for these people. But okay, thank you, Ranger. I'm going to get into that. Data centers are just going to make utilities skyrocket and line the pockets of corrupt politicians with kickbacks. Okay. This is why I got nervous about doing this as a whole live stream tonight, because when I like started reading this, I'm like, yeah, there's a lot going on here and people don't like this. So, okay, here's the thing. Let me share this with you. Okay, here we go. What impact does data centers have on housing? Okay. So here's some positive, okay? They're talking about job creation. It generates employment opportunities during construction and operation. Jobs range from construction engineers to IT, infrastructure development, increased tax revenue. Okay. The influx of workers and their families, it'll bring rising property values, new housing developments. Economic disparities. While they can boost local economies, they can also contribute to economic disparities. Gentrification. As property values rise, lower income residents may be priced out of their neighborhoods. Cost of living. Increased demands for goods and services can drive up the cost of living, making it harder for some residents to afford. So the other thing, what you're talking about with the utility, like it's the utility bills, yes, it does suck a lot of resources. It does. These data centers, from what I've read, it also they use a lot of water, right? They suck a lot of the resources that residents need. That's been like the biggest complaint of these data centers. I might do a video about it, not a live stream. I might do like a one of my weekly posts and talking about this. I didn't want to come on here and start talking about all this stuff and without clear both sides of the picture of the benefits and the drawbacks. But when I was reading more about this today, there's a lot of negatives to it. And I appreciate that Enrico County is trying to turn that into a positive and make it better, beneficial, and want people to, be able to buy a home and make it affordable for their workers to live there. Yeah, what are the long-term impacts? What are the long-term effects on this once the data center's in place? So I get your comment there, and that's why I was like, you know what? I'm not going to talk about this right now because I don't want to get into it until I have all of my facts. Data centers create adverse environmental health problems. I speculate that people living near them will have problems selling them later. Yeah. Okay, Maria. Yeah, that's exactly. And here's my other concern. What if AI goes bust down the road? Now you have all these data centers. Like you don't know. I know I'm probably people are like, what are you crazy? AI is not going to go bust. You never know. Now you have all these big centers that are going to be obsolete, could be. And then what are you going to do? Do you think electric bills will be higher in places with data centers? What I've been reading, Fred, yeah, it could impact utilities. What else we got? Hey, Terry, thanks for the super chat. We need data centers or we will be failed USSR. I'm not saying we don't need them, but the thing is they're building so many of them. Like they're popping up all over the place. 3 Mile Island is being open for Microsoft. Oh, Terry, I didn't know that. Oh, thanks for sharing that one. My wife and I are looking in the $1.5 million range. Our biggest factors for holding off right now are the fluctuations in interest rates and already falling prices in our state. So just keep in mind, okay, I say all the time, you can't time it. You can't time the market. You could wait for interest rates to come down, but then you just never know. So again, it comes down to your timing. If you're able to do it and now's the time, then it all comes down to your financial ability and what your life situation is when you should buy a house. Spirit Halloween can buy the data centers later on. I know, right? That's a little, yeah. Zach, I just put an offer on a house first time and it's turning to a bidding war. And I also think this real estate thing is a rat race. Have any advice? So listen, if this is the first offer, oh yeah, okay, first time. Okay, first time putting an offer. Okay, you might be losing a few. Just if you're in a market where you have it's a seller's market, just be prepared for that. You might be losing a few before the one finally hits. Any advice? Listen, just put your best foot forward. Put your best foot forward without like overextending. You know, don't feel the pressure of going way over asking price. Just don't, because you're going to regret that. So just put your best foot forward, you know, collaborate with your real estate agent to come up with the most creative offer. Okay. You want a good offer to entice the sellers to choose you. So that's what I would do. David, house in Booton that owner bought for 1.125 and 22, deferred maintenance and listed it a year later for 2.2 is now 1.8. Seems like they're asking a whole lot for a rundown property. That is a lot of money. A lot of money. How are the prices in Connecticut? Connecticut is still competitive. Still pretty high. Same thing we're dealing with in Jersey. We recently discovered your channel and love it. We've been planning to move back to New York from Florida for affordability. We're looking at upstate New York. We want to stay close to New York City. Thoughts? So listen, you can, yeah, I mean, upstate New York, it's depending on where. I mean, yeah, but you want to be close to New York City. I mean, you could look in Rockland County. You can look in Westchester, like northern Westchester, even Putnam County. Westchester, Putnam County. I think those would be some good options. They're not that far from New York. Westchester is obviously closer to New York City, but like you went to Putnam County, I think that would be a good option as well. Housing market view and prediction or educated guess for Yonkers. Want single family house, a backyard and garage. I would say Zach is probably Yonkers. I'm not 100%. But let me know if you need a realtor, because I have a great one that serves that area. So I can get you connected. Long-time listener, first-time commenter, thank you so much. Have any of your cash buying clients mentioned concerns about the opportunity cost compared to investing? Love to hear what perspectives you've heard. So when you're talking about trying to understand this, cash buying clients mentioned concerns about the opportunity cost. No, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I haven't had that many cash buyers. I haven't had a cash buyer. God, it's been a couple of years. So I really haven't had that many. I mean, everybody I've been working with have been putting large down payments down, but they're also getting mortgages. So, so I'm sorry, I don't really have a perspective on that. You know, as far as like recent years, as far, you know, with investors spending cash. But I appreciate you commenting. Thank you so much. When reducing the price of your home, do you suggest dropping for 10K or more, or small drops instead? Okay, this is a really, really good question. If you want to move the property, you got to move the needle. You got to move the needle on the price. In my opinion, 10,000 I don't think is enough. If you want to move it, you want to move the property, I would say 20,000. But you got to go by what's going on in the market. Have your agent look at the comparables. What's gone under contract? What is active? The key thing is what other properties are active at that time. If there's other homes on the market that are lower priced than your home, then that's where your price needs to be. My agent said sellers will be hesitant to take a VA loan offer. Why is that? Okay, great question. And I get this a lot. And it sucks. It sucks. because with VA loans, when they do the appraisal, they also look at if there are repairs that need to be done. Okay, so if there's paint chipping on the window, or if the railing is broken on the outside, there's like things that the appraiser is going to come back and say, before you close, you have to make these repairs, because they raise safety issues. Okay, this really only applies with VA and FHA loans. This is why sellers don't want to deal with the VA buyers, because they don't want to have the hassle of having to make any repairs in order to close. So if somebody came in with a conventional loan or cash, that's a non-issue, right? They'll do a home inspection, but on the appraisal part, the appraisers for conventional, they don't look at those things so much, unless the house is in really, really bad shape. And the bank doesn't want to deal with that, and they feel that the house is like unsafe, or there's like it's got major issues. But for VA loans, that's the problem. That is a problem. And the other thing is, sellers are not educated about the VA loans, and I blame the real estate agents. I'm not trying to throw shade at real estate agents, but the problem is realtors are not educated on VA loans. A lot of them are not. I mean, I am. I've helped buyers with VA loans. I understand the process. And the thing that freaks sellers out is that with the VA loans, you can do zero down. And when they see that you're not putting any money down, they're like, oh my God, like they think you're not serious, or like you're not financially qualified. It raises concerns for them when it shouldn't have to, if they were just properly educated about the VA loan. The product, this is your benefit. You're entitled to this, that you don't have to put money down. But it's unfortunate that people are just not, they're not educated. Real estate agents, I really think, I'm going to put this in the suggestion box for real estate courses. They need to really do a big section about VA loans and what it entails, and why we shouldn't be shying away from them, or shying our sellers away from accepting a VA loan. So that's, yeah. But so the other thing, Zach, too, if you're also looking at houses that are in need of repair, that is going to be challenging for you with a VA, because that's guarantee you, sellers, they want to sell that house as is. They don't want to deal with anything else. They don't want to repair it. So, yeah. Massachusetts prices are not coming down if the house is junk, maybe. Yep, I've heard that too. My good friend Jen Sylvester is up in Massachusetts. She tells me all the time. The same thing is down here. Yes, Kat. Now 1888 Studios is coming to Bayonne, set to open in 28. Yep. Get ready, Jersey Shore. Oh, it's going to be booming. Jersey Shore is going to blow up with prices. Patty Wilhelm, haven't seen you in a while. Lots of reduced prices for homes in parts of South Florida. Not sure what is driving this. Perhaps people leaving after the COVID influx. Also affordability. Yes, people are leaving from the COVID, and it's the affordability. People can't afford the rising HOAs, the insurance, the assessments on a lot of those condo buildings that have special assessments. That's what's driving people away, unfortunately. It all comes down to affordability. Albany, New York, I have 25 houses saved, 25% of them dropping 5, 15, 25. I see it every day. That's good to know. Thanks for sharing that. This may be a weird question. Other than money, what would be the reason the seller decide not to choose a buyer or not? Very, very good question. It could be terms. If a buyer comes out of the gate and there's a lot of stuff in their contract where they're asking for a lot of things, that could scare a seller into saying, yeah, I don't want to work with that buyer. They could be a problem. Yeah. Yep. Also the financing too. Like again, the lower, not saying it happens all the time, but sometimes when sellers see, oh, you're only putting 5% down, especially in today's market, when you're in a seller's market, when they see that you're putting little amount of money down, that kind of freaks them out. And again, it comes back to agents need to be educating their sellers more. But, I hope that answered your question. What else we got, Jen? Is that everybody? Oh my gosh. I didn't think we'd get through it all. So yeah, you guys, I covered a lot tonight. The poll, the most important thing, the poll. Can we talk about that? Okay, so best Christmas movie, because I want to have fun this week because it's all about housing crap and we're into the Christmas season. So what did everybody say? So best Christmas movie, Elf, 28%. It's a Wonderful Life, 33%. Die Hard, 19%. Christmas Vacation, 20%. So It's a Wonderful Life is the winner. So thank you all for weighing in. Appreciate that. So Jen, do you see that comment that just came up? Yeah. I want to address this. Racial, religious, or political preference are also factors that lead sellers to opt for a buyer. That is illegal. That is completely illegal for a seller to do that. That's discrimination. And they could be sued for that. So I just want to put that out there. So they're not factors. They're not factors. And if their agent is going along with that and saying, oh, you know what? We shouldn't be choosing this person based on their race, religion, political preference. No, then that agent needs to lose their license. That is completely 100% illegal. Yeah, no, it's really, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. Thank you so much for all this information. I appreciate the work. I appreciate you guys showing up every week. I have so much fun coming here. A lot of houses in Florida coming back on the market after going pending. Yeah, because the things either the buyer's financing falls through or there was inspection problems. There's issues with the house. So that's what goes on. All right. So you are welcome, Miss H. Thank you for being here. I love when you guys show up. So let me just share with you as a reminder. If you need an agent, you know where to go. Go to this website, click on this fancy little yellow button right here, fill out that form. You are then going to get another email with a questionnaire that's asking more specific questions regarding where you're looking to buy or where you need to sell. Are you pre-approved? All those fun things. So once I get that information back, then I can start my process of finding an agent for you. So again, click on that link if you need an agent referral. And I think that's all I got right now. You guys have been amazing. Appreciate you all being here. And see you all next Monday. Hope you all have a fabulous week. And stay out of trouble, okay? See you all next Monday. Have a great one.